Alright, this is my second tutorial in my series of tutorials on SQL. Tonight I'm going to be going over the insert statement to add information into a table space. I'm going to talk about length constraints on strings. I'm going to talk about using Notepad++ to write an SQL script, then importing and executing scripts, and using aliases for queries, and then exporting queries into report format. In this first slide here, you see that I am just doing one single insert statement to insert the state of Hawaii's information into the states table space. If you notice this command, the first part of it, the insert into indicates which table space you're inserting into. The next part of it, in between the parentheses, uses the column headers, state name, state capital, state population, state motto. If you also notice, each one of these column headers is preceded and ends with a little backwards apostrophe that's found on an American keyboard to the left of the number 1 on the keyboard. And after you indicate those columns that you're inserting into, you indicate the values that you're inserting into it. Notice that strings are in between quotes, so Hawaii and Honolulu are in quotes. Integers or numeric values are not in quotes. And then at the end of the whole statement, you have your semicolon. Okay, so that's what it looks like when you do that within the MySQL query browser. Here's an example of using the same statement to add multiple items. So here I'm adding the states of Idaho, Illinois, and Indiana. Each item is in parentheses, separated by a comma at the very end. Okay, and then also, if you notice, in between the parentheses, each item is separated by a comma there as well. Okay, and that's what I'm pointing out here with these red arrows, is that I'm using columns, or commas, I mean. But if you notice here, this little comma is in between quotes. So that's just read as part of this string, and it's not read as a separator. And then, of course, we end with the semicolon. Okay, and then here we're just running our query to look at the information we have in our database so far. So we're just selecting everything on the states table space. And here it is from a command line, the same thing, just done from a command line instead of the query browser. Okay. Here I am just doing 3 more inserts for Iowa, Kansas, and Kentucky from the command line instead of from the query browser, just to show that it can be done from a command line as well. Take a good look at Iowa's motto. It's longer than 45 characters long, and when I try to insert this, I'm going to get an error. And there we go. There's the error. So now I'm going to try and shorten it, and I thought I had it long, or I thought I had it short enough, but I still got the error. So I just changed Iowa's state motto to Home of Radar O'Reilly. I know that's not really their state motto, but you know, I know radar's from Ottumwa, so I decided to make that their state motto. And if everything goes good, you get a little success message telling you how many rows were affected, how long it took. I didn't have any duplicates, I didn't have any warnings. Alright, And if I go back into my query browser, now I can see the new states that I added: Iowa, Kansas, and Kentucky. And state motto is just what I put: home of Radar O'Reilly. Okay. Alright, the next part I'm going to show you here is how to just write a big, large script that's going to insert a bunch in for you. This will save you time from just, well, it won't save you time typing, but it will help if you make any mistakes, because you can go in and change the script if you ever need to change information. It's just really easy to go from a script instead of having to write everything all over again. And I noticed one error. I misspelled the state of Montana, so it would be pretty easy just to go back in and change my script, and I could just delete the entire table space and just start over if I wanted to. That's one way I could fix it, or I could just update that row. I'll talk about the update statement at another time. So I'm using a program here called Notepad++. It's a free program. If you go to Google and search for Notepad++, you'll be able to find it, I think, on SourceForge, and download it, install it. It's a free program. It's a good text editor, and it's open source, so it's free. And here's my script that I wrote. You see here that this is 37 lines long, so I'm just adding the rest of the states that weren't added. Okay, and now I'm going to open up my SQL query browser, and I'm going to import and run the script. So I click on File, and then I click on Open Script, and then I browse to where I keep my script, and found it, click Open, and here's what it looks like in the MySQL query browser. Now I'm going to click on Execute up here, and it succeeded. I didn't show you the success message, but it succeeded, and here I am just showing that it did succeed. Now you can see all 50 states have been added, and in this example I'm showing, now if you look here, you see that each of the columns is shown how it appears in the table space. When you're going to do a report, maybe you don't want it to look like that. Maybe you want to use different names for the column headers, and you can use that by using aliases. So here I'm saying select state name as state, and that's going to replace the name in the table space with whatever I want to call it. Okay, and so you can see I've done this for 3 columns, and you're also seeing that I'm not selecting everything off my table space this time. I'm just selecting specific columns from the state's table space. Okay, so I'm selecting state name, state capital, state population columns, because those are the only ones I want to look at, and then I'm giving them the aliases state, capital, and pop for population. Okay, and then I also want to order these by the state population, because I want to see, you know, who's largest and who's smallest. Okay, and this is just the same thing from the command line, just to show that you can pull it up either way. I think when you use aliases for the column headers, it makes it look a little bit nicer, puts it in a little bit more of a report type format. Okay, and in this next example, I'm just showing you how to export those results. The SQL query browser gives you the options of exporting as a comma separated value file, HTML, XML, XL, or a plist file. I'm not sure what a plist file is, but CSV is comma separated values, HTML is hypertext markup language, XML is extensible markup language, and then XL is just your typical Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. And after you click on export, you give it a name. and determine where you're going to save that. And here it is. Here's my comma separated value file. Pulled it up in Excel, and you can see now that I've got my column headers and all of this, and this is something that you could use if you needed to make a report and just needed some quick data. Puts it in a more presentable format than just pulling raw data off the database. And that's all I have for this presentation. Again, if you like the presentation, let me know, and if there's anything specific that you want me to do a tutorial on, just let me know, and I'll do my best to get it up for you. Thanks.